What's up, guys? Check this out. Before I get into what this video today is about, I want to address the elephant in the room. My shirt is really wrinkly. The answer is yes, it is dirty. No, I don't care. And the reason is because I'm a dad. And if you are a dad, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't care. Literally don't care. Shirt is wrinkly. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to, and I'm too lazy to iron it. So whatever. So check this out. This is what I do want to talk about. Okay. If you're somebody who's new to wholesaling and maybe even you're seasoned, but maybe you're somebody who is calling on market deals, you're calling listings that are on Zillow, or you maybe using Privy or whatever. And so you're talking to agents. There's some questions that you really need to ask to kind of like pre-scrub the deal up front. There's some like red flag questions that you want to be asking. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to eliminate the deal if it's not a deal. You don't want to spend any time on it. You want to ask some questions. And if it's not something that you want to be a part of, or it's not a potential deal, you need to like get on to the next one. This is a numbers game, baby. You got to call, talk to people, find the deals, put the offers in, and boom, move on to the next one. And so there's some questions that I want to share with you, questions that I try to ask every single agent that I'm on the phone with. Okay, so that's what today's video is about. The other thing is, if you're new to wholesaling, I actually have a Discord server. It's specifically for new wholesalers. It's for guys who don't know where to start, how to start. They just want to get some money coming in. I have a short lesson plan that you can access. It's free. There's some scripts in there you can access. Those are free. And of course, I'm in there as well. And so you have access to me, and I do my best to answer everyone's question. So I'd love to see you in that server. Link is the first description. It's in the description, man. It's the first link in the description. Click that link and you'll get the invite. Okay. The other thing is, if you are somebody who is maybe finding some value from my videos, I would love a like and subscribe. Show me a little bit of support. I would absolutely appreciate that. So now that I got all that shameless self-promotion out of the way, let's get into it. So check this out. And this is kind of a tip for the new guys. It may help, I guess, maybe some seasoned guys who've been dialing or whatever. But if you are calling on-market properties and you're feeling some sort of way about it, forget about on-market properties. If you're calling anybody, if you're just like a little intimidated to get on the phone, can you give you a couple tips there just before I get into the stuff? I don't know why I feel like kind of going on a side thing here and maybe just providing some value or whatever. But what I want you to know, first of all, if you're nervous and you are not feeling confident, what I want you to do is go into a room, close the door, lock it where no one can hear you, just be in that room, be in your zone, and do it scared. If you feel scared, I want you to think about why you're doing it. It's probably for the money, for the paycheck. I want you to think about why you're doing it for the paycheck. So I'll give you an example. For me, I might be thinking, well, I don't really want to make this call, but I do want to be able to bring my kids on a summer vacation. That reason I'm doing it is bigger than the excuse I might make for not dialing the call. Okay. So just always be thinking about why you're doing it and what it's for. Sometimes people will say, well, I'm doing it for the money. I want to make $10,000. I want to make $100 gazillion or whatever that is. I find it more beneficial to say, well, man, I would really love to buy this thing. And I'll be honest with you, this is all materialistic stuff. Sometimes it's, I would really love to be able to give back to the church, or one of the things I do for Thanksgiving is I take out a bunch of money and I buy groceries for people. I love being able to do that. I can only do that if I have extra money, or if I have money to be able to do that. So this would be a why for me. But a lot of times, keeping the reason why I'm making the call when I'm nervous or when I don't feel so great, having that out in front of me is really important, because it will push me past the edge. I want it more than the excuse to not do it. Okay, so just one thing I want to tell you. The other thing is that if you are not, the other thing is borrow my belief. Okay. I believe in you. I'm here. I'm in your corner. Okay. I want you to win. I want you to know that. Okay. So sometimes when you are a solopreneur, it can feel like nobody is here to support you. I want you to know I'm here to support you. Borrow my belief, please. Okay. You can do this. I'm telling you, you can do it. So when you are making those calls, there's certain things that you do want to ask. You want to ask them up front because you want to pre-scrub them, make sure that you're not wasting time. So when you get them on the phone, there's a couple things that I want you to remember. First thing, remember, you are the buyer. It's your right to ask questions about the property, okay? You would never go to buy a vehicle, a car, and you wouldn't of course you're going to ask questions about it. You're going to be like, hey, dude, has there been any accidents? When were the tires replaced? Did you have to do any major work to the engine? You don't want those problems, right? You want to get stuck with that. So remember, if you're feeling some sort of way, because I do find a lot of new wholesalers are really nervous to make the calls because they think the power is with the agent. It's not. You're the buyer. You got the money, dog. Power's with you. Okay, you're calling to scrub the property to see if it's a potential deal. So ask the questions. Don't feel like some sort of way like you're out of line for asking like, hey, does the roof need to be repaired, or has it been repaired, or what is the status of the air conditioning? And can you tell me like, are there any repairs that need to be made in any of the bathrooms? Is there flooring down? Are there holes in the wall? You don't feel any sort of way about asking those questions because you're the buyer, okay? And I know for sure that if you were buying a car, you would not have any like problems asking those questions. I think people get in their head because they think, well, this is especially new people, this is a house, so it's a bigger deal, and it is a bigger deal. But the fact still remains, you are the buyer with money. And what we don't do in this business is we don't buy bad deals. We don't want to lose money, okay? So we want to be safe and we want to ask the right questions so that doesn't happen. And one of the things that can happen that you really want to avoid is getting under contract. Oh, I found this property. It's a great deal. I'm so stoked. I put it under contract, and then you can't sell it. That does no good. You spend a bunch of time getting the property under contract. You're filling out the forms. You're sending the DocuSigns. You're having a bunch of conversations about it, and then you're trying to sell it, but nobody's interested because you didn't buy it deep enough, or you bought it deep, but you didn't ask the right questions. Oh my gosh, I didn't ask whether or not the roof needed to be repaired. I didn't ask, and this is a big one. This is the question that really I'm making this video about. The big question is, has this property been under contract before? And if it has, why did it fall out? Okay, so remember, you are not the only wholesaler or flipper in the business, okay? There are people that are calling on these properties, especially if they've been on market for a long time. People are calling and wanting to buy them, but they're not going under contract or they're not closing for a reason. And sometimes it's the seller just, they want too much money for the property and it's not worth it, and so whatever. But if it's a deal, someone's going to buy it, okay? And if it's been under a contract, there's a reason it didn't close, and we want to know that reason, because we don't want to go again, get under contract, and then all of a sudden we find out something that 3 other people found out before us that wasn't disclosed, and now we've wasted everybody's time just trying to get the property under contract. So we always want to know, has this property been under contract? And if it has, then why did it fall out? And usually they'll say, well, they couldn't line up the financing, or, they got in there and it was going to cost them more. This is the red flag. It was going to cost them more to rehab it than they actually thought. And so then the question becomes, well, do you have any idea what those numbers are? What were they saying? Were they communicating with you what they thought the rehab was going to be? And then did they get some sort of quote? Like, ask those questions. They might not tell you the answer, but they might tell you the answer, okay? So that's one really big question. Another thing that I really like to ask listing agents, and I position it in a certain way. I'll say, hey, are you familiar with this area? Do you do a lot of deals in this area? I mean, dude, what do you think the answer is going to be? They're going to be like, yeah, I know this area. This is my area. I know all the things. Perfect. If I came in there and I brought this to like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of condition, what do you think it would sell for? Right now, of course, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my own due diligence in terms of ARV, and I'm going to find properties that have been rehabbed and repaired, and I'm going to do my due diligence. But let's ask a local agent, especially if you're doing virtual stuff and you're not really that familiar with the area, like, what do you think this would sell for? And wait to hear what they have to say. And then, it doesn't mean that that's the number. It just means that that's what they think the number is, okay? So you want to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because they're probably going to inflate that. But you could always ask, like, do you think you could send me some comps that support that? Or do you know any comps off the top of your head that might support that? So that's another question that you could be asking. The other thing, and this is kind of specific to areas where the properties are like really cheap, or maybe it's like a bad area, you can ask, like, is there anything specific about this block that I should know about? So remember, I'm prefacing this question with, do you know this? How well do you know this area? Do you do a lot of deals in this area? Are you really familiar with it? And then I'll ask, like, hey, is there anything particular about this block that I should know? Maybe street A is, super, it's a good street to live on, but maybe street B right behind it is not a good street because there is maybe a lot of violence or gang activity or drug activity, and they could be right next to each other. And you probably wouldn't know that unless you knew the area. So I always like to ask that question, like, are there any nuances around this particular property that I should be aware of? And all of these questions, I'll even say this, but I'm prefacing, I'm asking these questions, and I'll tell the agent, I'm asking these questions because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to get under contract, then start doing all my due diligence, find these things out, and then have to cancel because I didn't know that, there's the street right behind us is has the most murders on it than any street in the city has. And so nobody wants to live on it or near it. Like, I want to know those things up front. You're the agent, you're the expert, and position them in that way. Hey, the reason I'm asking you these questions is because you said you know the area. I'm an out-of-state investor. I do have partners in that area that I'm partnering with who also know the area, but I just want to get your expert opinion. Everybody wants to be an expert, man. Position it that way. So these are a couple things that I always ask. For sure, there's more questions that you want to be asking about the condition of the property and those types of things. And just know that you're not always going to get the answer. The agents are not always going to be super cooperative or responsive or whatever. But knowing what questions to ask is really kind of half the battle. If you have any questions on anything that I've suggested, please put them in the comments. If you're in this business and you're doing deals and you have anything that you would like to add to some of the things that I had said, put those in the comments too, man. There's a lot of newbies who are in this business who don't know what to ask. Let's do our best by creating community and showing them some support and providing value to them. So I definitely welcome those type of comments in the comment section. So again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a blessed week. Talk soon.